The BBC did not enjoy me using quite long clips from Amy's Choice. Is a whole copyright thing, but on the other hand, it is, like, that was the most reviewish of my videos, so, like, I don't know. We'll see if they chill the fuck out. So we're moving on to The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood, the Silurian two-parter from Series 5. They are written by Chris Chibnall. They are extremely bad. This is not a coincidence. One quite neat thing, can we see where it is? There we go. Amy and Rory waving to themselves. It's a setup for when Rory gets erased later. I don't have a whole lot to say about these episodes. I am assuming everyone has seen JX's excellent video on Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who. If not, go and watch that. I don't really have a whole lot to add to JX's point. I just wanted to observe a few things, mostly that the same problems that Chris Chibnall would go on to have when he was running his own series are extremely evident in this episode.
Where are you getting these readings from?
Under the soil.
The drill's up and running again. What's going on? Who are these people?
Amy, the doctor. We're not staying, are we, doctor?
Why is there a big patch of earth in the middle of your floor?
We don't know, it just appeared overnight.
Good. Right. You all need to get out of here very fast.
Why?
What's your name?
So the main complaint, well, one of several complaints that JXE had, which are entirely correct, is that Chris Chibnall's characters have this very specific approach to dialogue, which is the Doctor explains what's going on and the other characters reply with entirely functional dialogue. What's going on? What do you mean? Is that a problem? Are we gonna die? Like, they just say enough to make it not a monologue from the Doctor's part and to remind everyone that they're in the room. But they don't display any actual character, and it makes the scenes incredibly flat and lifeless. This is offset a little bit in this episode, because this is episode 8 of Series 5, and Matt Smith and Arthur Darvill specifically have been working together for a while. They know their characters really well, and they know the interplay really well. So even when the script is just flat and lifeless and shit, the actors are able to put some life into it. Let me see if I can find a moment I'm talking about. So Amy's been grabbed by the Hungry Earth.
Rory, I'll get her back.
Well, what do you mean get her back? Where's she gone?
She was taken into the earth.
How?
Like, if we look at that as a script, can we find the scripts for this? So here's the scene. Where's Amy? Get everyone into the church. Rory, I'll get her back. What do you mean, get her back? Where's she gone? She was taken into the earth. How? Why didn't you stop it? I tried. I promise. I tried. Well, you should have tried harder. I'll find Amy. I'll keep you safe. I promise. Come on, please. I need you alongside me. Like, it's all entirely just lifeless and functional. How? Why didn't you stop it? That's like, she was taken into the earth. How? Why didn't you stop it? I'm really not convinced that is something someone would actually respond to that with. I tried. I promise. I tried. Like, yeah, the dialogue is just terrible. And as well as the dialogue, there are terrible plot moves. So in this scene, the characters know that some aliens are coming up from beneath the earth to do a mischief on them because the aliens have already grabbed a bunch of people. So the Doctor is working with this kid to do something.
I don't understand what you're going to do. Have you met monsters before?
Yeah?
You scared of them?
No, they're scared of me.
Will you really get my dad back?
No question.
He's using really short sentences, which is not helping. And I'm not sure the dialogue flows. Chris Chibnall's writing should be studied as, you should not do this. Like, in theory, simple writing is good. Simple writing is accessible writing. Simple writing is efficient. Simple writing can do a lot. But what this is writing that has been simplified to the point where it's simplistic, where all the life has been boiled out of it. And to the point where, like, people don't talk like this. People don't talk in 4-5 word sentences, but just say the bare minimum they need to say in order to get the point across, whether that is like this kid expressing anxiety about whether the doctor can get his dad back.
I left my headphones at home.
So this kid cares about his headphones. And so he just goes off to get them. And the doctor says, okay, the aliens are coming up. And it's just such a hollow, oh yeah, we need the kid to be in peril later, so he'll go off and do something else. And no one's going to mention it right up until the point where, so like, the kid is not around for ages. The mum has no idea where he is. Like, there's this whole scene, the aliens are coming up. And she only notices that the kid isn't there when it is convenient for it to be noticed. It's fucking awful. So it goes in the terrible slot. Our first terrible episode since Waters of Mars, which is still terrible. I still don't care what y'all say. I didn't watch Cold Blood because I have too much respect for my time. But I watched the ending because I hadn't seen the ending in absolutely ages. So I wanted to see how certain things played out, like Rory's death. Okay, so important thing, there's the crack in the universe. The Doctor reaches through and pulls out a bit of a TARDIS. Crucially, it doesn't really, like, erase him in the same way it erased, like, a lot of other people, but okay, fine. Rory gets shot. Nice to have a character, like, some parallel actually work. Okay, but Rory is close to the crack in the universe, and the crack is reaching around him, and it's going to erase him.
Amy, move away from the light. If it touches you, you'll be wiped from history. Amy, move away now.
No, I am not leaving him. We have to help him.
Now, the camera is semi-smartly focusing on Amy and Rory. It's focusing on the drama of the scene. But what it is not doing is showing us the light erasing Rory. It's not cut back to Rory this entire time. So we got... Rory dies, yes. So we are at, okay, we're at 39:32, and we get that shot of the light curling around Rory's legs, right? So I just need to check that they don't cut back, because I'm pretty sure I haven't. Okay, so yeah, at this point, the Doctor, like, decides Amy needs to move away because otherwise she's going to get erased or whatever. And so he starts pulling her away. But since that first shot of the light starting to curl around Rory's legs, we haven't cut back to it. So we have no idea what the light is doing. Is it progressing? Is it eating Rory, like, soon? Because we keep seeing shots of Rory and he seems fine.
It's already around him. We can't help him.
I am not
The Doctor says it's already around him. We can't wait. We haven't seen that.
leaving him.
We have to.
No!
Sorry.
Get off me!
Sorry.
Get
So
off!
there is discourse, as I discussed in Amy's choice, about the Doctor violating Amy's consent, or like violating Amy's autonomy. This is a really bad example of that, actually. This is the first example I've seen of the Doctor violating Amy's autonomy, and I think it's a problem. Like, it's not a problem that the Doctor, like, pulls Amy off Rory's corpse in order to prevent her being erased from history, right? That's not a problem, exactly. But what is a problem is, like, the Doctor is treating it as a real, like, immediate issue, and we, the audience, haven't been shown that it is a real immediate issue, because we got that one shot of the light curling around Rory's legs very slightly, and then we never saw it again. So, like, we haven't, like, the urgency with which the Doctor is treating it is not reflected in the show, which is a problem. So it sure seems like the Doctor just completely violated Amy's autonomy. And yeah, look, this is the first time we've seen the light curling around Rory. And it's still not progressed further than this 1 foot. Now, we can say that being erased from history is not something we should be messing about with. Better safe than sorry. And I think that's a completely fair point. But it's still kind of shitty. The optics aren't great. A white guy, like, dragging younger woman away from the body of her fiance while she screams and demands that he stop. Like, that's not great. That doesn't pass the vibe check. Anyway, so Rory gets erased from history. Very nice. Amy forgets him. Very nice. No complaints. And then Amy sees, like, future herself waving to past Amy, thereby, like, the audience now know that no, Rory is actually erased from history. That's good. That's, like, I wouldn't necessarily say skillful writing, but it's good. Like, it really... We set this up at the start of Hungry Earth, and it pays off at the end of Cold Blood. It's good. I like it. It's one of the only things I like in the show. Another thing I forgot that I want to point out in terms of writing is, so Amy's been grabbed. The Doctor talks to this Silurian. Nice to have the Silurians. So the Doctor is giving people a primer, basically saying, don't go and torture the Silurian.
Because I will find them. While I'm gone, you 4 people in this church, in this corner of planet Earth, you have to be the best of humanity.
And what if they come back? Shouldn't we be examining this creature? Dissecting it, finding its weak points?
No dissecting, no examining. We return their hostage, they return ours. Nobody...
These people are geologists. They're not xenobiologists, because Earth doesn't have those yet. Like, but so, like, again, the guy is just saying what needs to be said, because in Cold Blood they're going to do some, like, oh, we should, like, kill this dude or whatever for revenge for this kid that got kidnapped or something, because it's an incredibly basic man's inhumanity to man. Oh, we're not so different, you and I. Deep down we're all just scared and, like, we're acting out of fear, and we're all, like, humans do fucked up stuff, man. And unlike with Russell T Davies, Chris Chibnall is such a shit writer that I don't get annoyed by it. I just feel tired. But the point is, my point was with that scene specifically, that the Doctor is going, you're the best of humanity, don't go and torture the alien. Like, no one mentioned torturing the alien before the Doctor gave his speech, right? So it's very clearly just there to set up what's going to happen later. It doesn't feel like something the characters are saying. It feels like something that is being jammed into the plot sideways in order to, like, set things up. It's just, like, artless and crap. Vincent and the Doctor. Vincent and the Doctor is an interesting one. There are a few things I like about it. Number one, they don't know what the monster is, so the Doctor has to go to the TARDIS, he finds a bit of tech, and he tries to identify what the monster is, and he uses a picture of the monster to find out what it is. I always like when the Doctor doesn't know everything. It's cool to have investigation be a part of a show, because too often the show just skips straight to what it considers to be the interesting bit, which is, like, running down corridors and fighting monsters and stuff. But I do really like investigation because it makes the universe seem vast and largely unknowable, and, like, we don't always know everything and we have to find things out, and you don't want to do it every time, because if every episode was treated like a mystery of, like, you would just be adding some admin on top of the what is going on in this situation. You have to do 2 minutes of, okay, now let's look up in the library what this specific alien is. But it's nice for it to happen every once in a while. Later on, the Doctor has rather callously mentioned he and Amy are gonna leave Vincent, and Vincent is struggling to get out of bed because the poor bastard feels depressed. This is very similar to, like, how I feel a lot of the time. Well, used to. Now it feels slightly different. Anyway, so, like, the Doctor tries to get Vincent out of bed.
Come on. Come out. Come on. Let's go outside.
And he completely misreads the situation and makes things worse. Tick. That is entirely what would happen. But the episode then over-eggs things a bit.
Get out! What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Very well. I'll leave. I'll leave you.
Okay. So, the camera work works. You notice that the camera work pulled away from Vincent as you were saying, get out, what are you doing here? The camera moved back, which highlights Vincent's isolation in the frame. It also mirrors what the Doctor is doing. The Doctor is backing away. Very good. The music is a bit over top, and I'm not quite convinced by Vincent's performance. Like, people experience these sorts of mental health symptoms in a very different way. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't ring true. I am sure some people saw that scene and saw themselves in it. It doesn't match what my experience is, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, but it does mean that, to me, it felt a bit off. For example, Vincent here is curled up on the bed, not in the bed, on the bed. And there is light on his face, but he is fetal positioning, he is withdrawing, he's covering his face, he's covering his eyes. When I have experienced what Vincent is currently experiencing, which is like overwhelming pain and just staggering, how awful the world is, I always need to cover myself more than Vincent is doing. So I would be cocooning under the bedclothes, because that's like how I shut the world out, right? And so Vincent is doing the same sort of thing, but he's doing it with his hands. Like, that's not wrong. It just doesn't match my experience. So, like, but returning to the good thing, like, it's multiple times in this, the Doctor, like, just kind of fucks up Vincent's mood and clearly doesn't really know how to fix it. It's good. I like it. Again, it's like the Doctor, and the Doctor doesn't quite get it. I really like this alien nature of the Doctor, which is he fundamentally, he likes humans a lot. He doesn't quite understand them. It's cool. Blind monster that only Vincent can see, very nice. Very simple, very straightforward. Vincent, like, accidentally kills it. The monster is afraid. Very nice, very good death scene. They leave. They take Vincent to the future, where Vincent gets to see that his art is appreciated. They drop him off home, and it turns out that, like, it helped cheer Vincent up some, but ultimately, like, the course of his life was still set. Well, like, it didn't change the course of his life, it made it a bit better. Now, that is a nice message. I really like it. This scene where Vincent goes to the gallery and, like, Bill Nye talks about how good Vincent van Gogh was, and Vincent sees that he will be appreciated later, like, after he's dead. That scene seems like it was written for me. Like, because my work is, it's largely ignored, and it's not really a problem for me these days because I got used to it. But seeing someone whose art was ignored in real life, like, and then seeing their reaction when they see how much people love it, like, that clicks with me for some reason. But the show is also a little too happy, a bit too overly fond of Vincent van Gogh.
Certainly the most popular great painter of all time, the most beloved, his command of colour the most magnificent. He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray, but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world.
Alright. So there are two parts to that. The second part, it's easy to feel pain, but to use your pain to express the glory of our world, that bit I like, because that is what Vincent van Gogh did. But the first bit, where it's like, oh yeah, he was the best painter.
To me, Van Gogh is the finest painter of them all. Certainly the most popular great painter of all time. The most beloved.
The most beloved painter of all time, the most popular painter of all time, like, superlatives like that are kind of meaningless and shit and sort of pointless. It's like, we don't have to rank artists, dude. Like, we can talk about how good Vincent van Gogh is without, like, going, you know, all those other artists, you know, all those other shitheads. Vincent van Gogh was better than all those losers like Monet and, you know, presumably other artists as well. Yeah, no, they were all fucking children next to Van Gogh. And it's just kind of a bit... like, we can... And it, in my opinion, sort of cheapens things a bit, because, like, in my opinion, Vincent and the Doctor would be a very good episode if, like, Vincent was a good painter, a talented painter, but not the best painter in the world or whatever. Like, it's the episode doesn't imply that if Vincent had been, like, a good painter, a talented painter, but he hadn't been picked up by the zeitgeist as much, then he wouldn't be worth talking about. It doesn't say that. But there's definitely an implication. There's this idea called bardolatry. And bardolatry is an observation people have made where, starting in the 1800s and then going into the Victorian era and beyond, there was a really concerted push to turn Shakespeare from a talented playwright whose plays, like, have persisted throughout history into the best playwright. And that was a propaganda move because of the whole British Empire and, you know, all that other stuff. But it was like a really concerted idea to go, Shakespeare was the best. Shakespeare wrote a lot of crap, right? And the idea of there being a best playwright is just absolutely nonsense. And bardolatry is a really awful, toxic thing because it's wrapped up in empire and propaganda. And society really, like, lauding Vincent van Gogh is not the same thing. But it does have some unfortunate commonalities with this whole, oh yeah, Vincent was the best painter. Like, no, he fucking wasn't. There are no best painters. That's not a thing. It's not a thing you can do with art. Art is not something where you can have a definitive ranking from best to worst. So, in my opinion, that knocks things for Vincent and the Doctor a bit. However, I still really like it. I think it's really, really good. It makes me cry every time, and I like feeling things, so it's going in very good. I did wonder if I should put it in top tier, but I think there are a few too, like, many niggles for it to be, like, truly at the top. Cool. The Lodger. The Lodger is fine. Oh, yeah, I should say, in Vincent and the Doctor and The Lodger are incredibly important episodes from a point of view of Amy. And we're, in Amy's Choice, we were talking about it, the relationship between Amy and the Doctor and Rory not being a love triangle. And we know this because once Rory has been erased from history, Amy does not start dating the Doctor. And similarly, at the end of Amy's Choice, where Amy chooses to, like, crash the camper van that they're getting into because Rory's dead in that universe, so it can't be the real one. You could read that as Amy, like, not being complete without a man. And I think that's a bullshit reading. I think it's wrong, not least because it really tries to look at things from a metatextual perspective, which is, there is a history of female characters in media not being complete without a man, but that's not really what's going on with Amy, because partly we know by that point what Amy gets out of a relationship, which is Rory is open and honest and kind and compassionate, and Amy really values that. And partly because Amy has a lot of agency in her own right. Yes, she does. And so, like, her agency isn't removed because the man is removed. She's not reduced to a lifeless waif on a fainting couch because her man isn't around. She carries on doing all the stuff she's been doing previously, but her life is measurably worse because Rory isn't in it. So it's not the case that Rory can't live without her man. And this is demonstrated by the show with the fact that Vincent, in Vincent and the Doctor, like, asks Amy to marry him. And Amy says, no. And also, like, in the lodger and stuff. Amy isn't in the lodger much, but, like, the point is, Amy has this time in between Cold Blood and the Pandorica opens where she is single, sort of. And you know what she doesn't do? Fuck anyone. The lodger. It is a perfectly straightforward episode. It has a beginning, middle, and end. Again, I quite like the fact that the Doctor is kind of fucking with James Corden's life and not making him feel great. Like, he's really overshadowing Corden at work and at home and in his sports teams and stuff. Like, he plays football better than James Corden. He works better than James Corden. He charms the girl, Sophie, better than James Corden. And I like that. It's nice, like, and it's seen as a bad thing because we can see how much James Corden is really, like, not happy with this. Hello. The alien had a perfectly decent reason for doing the stuff he was doing, that the ship needed a pilot, and so it was trying to recruit people who wanted to leave for various reasons, and it never tried to recruit James Corden because he wanted to stay where he was. He was happy in his life. The episode's randomly fat-phobic at one point, which I'm not a fan of, but otherwise it's like, it's perfectly fine. It's alright. It's alright. Is it good? Is it good? It's better than all those. Yeah, it's good. It's like, it's at the bottom end of good, but yeah, it's good. It's, you know, it's fine. And then we have a Pandorica opens in the Big Bang. Now, Pandorica opens in the Big Bang. I'm not going to fucking bury the lead. They're top tier. They are excellent. Now, we can't talk about Pandorica opens in the Big Bang without talking about the overarching story of Series 5. Now, so let's go through what the overarching story of Series 5 is from beginning to end as far as possible, right? We begin with the 11th hour, where we establish the crack in Amy's wall, right? And it's a big, big house, and it's just Amy living there with her aunt. We then get to the Beast Below, where the cracks continue. Same with Victory and the Daleks, I think. Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. We learn more about the cracks in the wall. We learn they can erase people from history. We also learn about River Song, and we get a scene where the Doctor talks to Amy. Oh yeah, and we find out why River is in prison. So, yeah, this scene is one of the best scenes. Amy wants to go with the Doctor.
Amy, you need to start trusting me. It's never been more important.
But you don't always tell me the truth.
If I always told you the truth, I wouldn't need you to trust me.
I love that line.
Listen, remember what I told you when you were 7?
What did you tell me?
No. See, that's not the point. You have to remember.
So we get that scene, which is a setup for a later episode. We get Vampires of Venice. In Vampires of Venice, we learn that they were fleeing the cracks. The vampires were fleeing the cracks, and through the cracks was silence. Amy's choice, and throughout this, at the end of Flesh and Stone, Amy makes a move on the Doctor, which causes the Doctor to bring Rory along in Vampires of Venice. In Amy's choice, we get the development of Amy and Rory's relationship, along with relationship with Doctor, but that's sort of character focused. It's not necessarily the story of the series. End of Cold Blood, the Doctor learns that the crack contains like a piece of the TARDIS, and Rory gets erased from history. Vincent and the Doctor and the Lodger are like taking care of Amy, basically. And then Pandorica opens, right? So we learn... God, I don't necessarily have to summarize the full Pandorica opens, but I sort of might have to. Okay. So, there's this painting. We don't know what's going on with the painting. River breaks out of prison, grabs the painting. She gets hold of time travel, and they go to where some Romans are, where River is, and they find out what the painting is, which is a painting that Vincent van Gogh drew of the TARDIS exploding. And it's important to point out, here's the characters from Victory of the Daleks, and here is Liz 10 from Beast Below. There, it's like a tour of the places we've been to in this series. They go to Stonehenge, where the Pandorica is, even though they think the Pandorica is a myth. Turns out it isn't. They do some investigation. Turns out there are loads of aliens overhead, because they all want what's inside the Pandorica. River recruits a bunch of Romans. There's some peril. Rory's back. What the fuck? There are aliens. The Doctor scares the aliens off. River, tries to bring the TARDIS and the equipment inside the TARDIS to the Pandorica. Doctor tells Rory to go see Amy. The TARDIS gets taken to Amy's house on the date where the finale, Big Bang, episode 13, was due to air, which is kind of cute. Aliens have landed and Amy's front door's kicked in. River learns that, discovers that the Romans and the, Pandora's box and a few other things are lying around, including a photo of Rory. There we go. And so River works out, oh shit, this is a trap. And Doctor's like, okay, we're in serious trouble. Shut the TARDIS down. Get out of there. And something else is flying the TARDIS. And River's taken off. Loads of aliens teleport in. Stick the Doctor in the Pandorica. Rory turns out to be an Estine duplicate. River's in the TARDIS, which is blowing up. The aliens close the Pandorica on the Doctor. The end. It's a hell of a fucking lot to get into one episode, I tell you. Then, next episode, we start with young Amy. All the stars have disappeared. Young Amy can see the stars. But the Doctor, leaves young Amy a reason to go see whatever this museum is. And he tells young Amy to stick around. Young Amy touches Pandorica. And it's got old Amy in it. Credits. Doctor time travels in, bootstrap paradoxing his way out of the Pandorica. He leaves a message for Amy. Rory stays with Pandorica for 2,000 years to guard it. Very cool. Daleks running around. The Doctor time travels around setting up all the stuff, completing the bootstrap paradox. Doctor teleports in from the future. He's dying. The Doctor says he's dead. He's wrong. Well, he's lying. The Doctor rescues River from the TARDIS. Then, the Doctor is going to... So the Pandorica contains a snapshot of the universe from before all the stars went out. The TARDIS blew up all the stars or whatever. So the Doctor is going to throw the Pandorica with himself inside. He's going to pilot Pandorica into the exploding TARDIS, which will restart the universe. The Doctor wakes up after going into the heart of the TARDIS, but he is on the wrong side of the cracks. So he slips back through time, but he realizes that Amy, in her past, can hear him, even though he's not exactly there. So, when he next encounters Amy, we do this.
Now, listen. Remember what I told you when you were 7?
Thereby making sense of the scene we saw in Flesh and Stone. Right? The Doctor talks to Amy when she is 7, which is what he was referring to. Remember what I told you when you were 7. This is the stuff he's telling her when he's 7. He talks about the TARDIS, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Amy wakes up. Her parents are here because they haven't been eaten by the cracks anymore. River shows up with the diary, and Amy manages to remember what the Doctor told her when she was 7, and she manages to bring him back. Good job. And then there's some cute stuff at the end. They all leave. Right? Okay. So. Cutting out the episode stuff, what we have is the Pandorica is also mentioned at various points throughout the series as well. Okay, so we know there are cracks in time. They investigate what the cracks in time are. They discover that they can erase people from history, and they discover that there's a piece of the TARDIS in there, foreshadowing the TARDIS blowing up. We see the Doctor lay the seeds for his own ability to return to like life and be unerased from history, in episode fucking 5, the episode erases Rory from history and then brings him back, thereby demonstrating that it is possible for this to happen when the Doctor does it. They also do this same thing with Amy's parents, thereby like reinforcing that it is possible. The show is telling us basically how the Doctor is going to come back, even though we don't know exactly what he's going to do. So so they know the cracks in time do erase people from history, and that there's an exploding TARDIS on the other side. They have mentioned the Pandorica a few times, so when they go looking for Pandorica and they find it, and they talk about, how it contains an evil god or warrior or trickster or whatever, and they're very clearly talking about the Doctor. Like when you listen to the dialogue, it's very clearly describing the Doctor. It's very cool. And then the other people have noticed the cracks in time. Shocker, it doesn't just happen around the protagonists. And so the aliens stick the Doctor in the Pandorica in order to save the universe from the cracks in time, because they know the Doctor will pilot the TARDIS. Therefore, if they stop the Doctor piloting the TARDIS won't blow up, the cracks in time won't appear. Completely logical, perfectly sensible, and also completely wrong. The Doctor then, they then do the stuff that I described in order to fix the cracks in time, but the Doctor is stuck on the other side, so he has to, find a way to bring himself back, which we've talked about. Right? And then they end with this sting of, we don't know why the TARDIS blew up, we don't know who did this, we need to find that out. And they go on to answer that in later series. So, it is an incredibly coherent story, which takes place over multiple episodes. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It asks all these questions and answers all of them except the question of why did this happen / who did it, which then goes on to be answered in a later series. It's elegant, it's fairly straightforward, but because it's spread out over a bunch of episodes, it evolves in the background and you get drip-fed little bits of it, which I think is quite an elegant way of doing an overarching storyline. It does my favourite thing, which in that it sets up how future plot events can happen in a couple of ways. One is the Rory coming back, which we've talked about, and the other is this really amazing bit in Flesh and Stone where we see in that episode the Doctor talking to Amy, and that only makes sense later. I was talking about twists with Russell T Davies episodes, I think about series 4, and my thing I said about twists was a good twist should make more sense when you rewatch it rather than less, and that's definitely true for series 5. So this is what I mean when I say that Stephen Moffat is better than Russell T Davies at overarching plot. It's not just that he's better, it's that he's much, 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 much better. If you compare series 5 with series 1 of Doctor Who, which is the one series of Russell T Davies' Doctor Who where the overarching story is good all the way through, the overarching story for series 1 is people mention Bad Wolf every once in a while, and then Amy sees Bad Wolf after she's dumped back on Earth in the finale, and she works out that someone is sending her a message that she can get back to the Bad Wolf TV station. There are a couple of other bits, such as the Doctor fucks off at the end of the Satellite 5 episode, Long Game, and there is this question mark as to whether him doing that caused a power vacuum, which was then exploited in the finales. But it turns out that wasn't true. The Daleks were manipulating Earth, so the Doctor fucking off didn't do anything. So, genuinely, the story of Series 1 is Bad Wolf, Bad Wolf, Bad Wolf, Bad Wolf. Oh, it turns out Bad Wolf is a message, that means I can get back, therefore Rose gets back. It's not quite that simple. So, Rose knows she can get back to the future by opening the TARDIS console and accessing, the heart of the TARDIS, which she knows how to do because she saw it happen in Boomtown. But the thing is, she only knows how to do that because in Boomtown, the TARDIS opening itself to open the heart of the TARDIS and revert Blonde back to an egg is a massive Deus Ex Machina included to get Russell out of a corner he'd written himself into. So if we include that extra bit of nuance in the story, I think it makes it significantly worse because, oh, I saw this Deus Ex Machina before, therefore, I can Deus Ex Machina it again. It's tempting to say that if you think Russell T Davies writes better overarching stories for Doctor Who than Stephen Moffat, then you are just wrong. because the story of Series 1 is barely present. I could make a pretty convincing argument that it's not actually a story at all. It's just a series of, like, there is some planting and payoff, but there is very little cause and effect. And, like, you could cut half of those mentions of Bad Wolf at random and it wouldn't affect the plot at all, which very heavily implies that each individual mention of Bad Wolf doesn't actually matter. Therefore, and, like, if you can cut out half of, possibly even more than half, you only need, like, 2. If you could cut half of your story and have no effect on the rest of the story, is it in fact a story? And then, like, Series 2 overarching story is unbelievably bad. Series 4 overarching story is barely present. They just mention the bees disappearing occasionally and then they have the finales. Series 3 has a more substantial overarching story, but the finale fucks it so badly. I genuinely don't think it's very good. Russell T Davies's overarching stories are barely present, or bad, or both. Right? And whether we probably get to the rest of Stephen Moffat's overarching stories, but Series 5, at the very least, is excellent. Like, significantly better than any overarching story that Russell wrote for Series 1 through 4, and, dear God, so much better than Series 14, Ruby Sunday's series. It's really tempting to say that if you think that Russell's overarching stories are better than Stephen Moffat's, then you are just, like, flatly incorrect. But I think saying that would be wrong in one very important way, which is that it ignores the subjectivity of art. One of the reasons you might think the overarching story of Series 1 is in fact better than Series 5 is because it's the simplicity that I've complained about is actually a strength, right? So, like, if you are into minimalism in your overarching stories, then Series 1 is better than Series 5, because Series 5 is more intricate. It's more substantial. So, like, but substantial, intricate, they are, like, opposites of simple, right? They are, so, like, the fact that Series 1's story is barely present could genuinely be a strength for some people, and they're not wrong to consider that a strength. Art is subjective. Series 5's story is not objectively better than Series 1's. It's more intricate, it's more coherent, it's deeper, there's much more going on. Some of that is a way of, like, just repeating the same point using different words, right? So that is why I think Stephen Moffat is a lot better at overarching story from Russell T Davies's. However, I am not correct by saying that. You have my logic. You have the reason I've said that. It's up to you whether you disagree with me or not. Okay. We've done Series 5. I need to go and have a lie down. Bye.